I think that corporate responsibility is about the way a business operates in all the things that it does, in terms of minimizing its negative environmental and social aspects and maximizing its positive environmental and social aspects. So it's about how it treats its staff, it's about the way it markets, it's about does it know what's happening in its supply chain, is it trying to reduce its environmental footprint. And so I think a company has to begin by identifying what are the most material impacts we have and where can we have the biggest impact overall. Social entrepreneurs are men and women working inside large corporations who are taking the initiative for innovations which improve sustainability, environmental, social, both, and at the same time are commercially attractive to their companies. And the crucial thing is that they are taking the initiative typically outside of their day job. I think it's a very interesting question as to how businesses can encourage social entrepreneurs. For most companies, it's first of all realizing that they might have them inside their employee base and being very conscious about what are the kinds of things that might encourage versus what might in fact smother with kindness. Because in fact, by making it too easy for social entrepreneurs, paradoxically a company might make it harder really to make progress. I think that what companies can do is about tone from the top. So it's about the leadership talking about the importance of sustainability to the company all the time, emphasizing the kind of contributions that employees can make, demonstrating that the company wants employees to take the initiative. Some companies are now being very proactive in running all kinds of experiential learning programs that stimulate employees' thinking, taking top talent and giving them 3 or 4 months in a community assignment with an NGO in different parts of the world, for example. Some companies make internal innovation funds available, which individual employees or teams of employees can apply for. Some companies like Google, for instance, go even further and say you can have a certain proportion of your company time to do projects that you believe will ultimately advance the company, but you decide, not your line manager. But also there's some very simple things that companies can do without going that far, at least not straight away. They can make it clear to line managers that this could be one of the ways that a manager can encourage staff development and innovation and new business development inside the business by becoming a champion or a sponsor of a social entrepreneur. I think it's still very early stages in terms of companies recognizing social entrepreneurs as a breed. It's more typically that a company recognizes a social entrepreneur amongst its midst. So when I've talked to a number of CEOs of major companies and described the concept, they've smiled and rattled off 1 or 2 names, but they have not necessarily yet got to the point where they have formal programs to encourage social entrepreneurs. But the kind of people that we've been looking at, Joe Da Silva, for example, in Arab Engineering, who started an internal, effectively, NGO inside Arab to encourage people to give some of their time, their professional expertise for disaster relief, for NGO projects and things. Or Chris Harrop, who's now the marketing director of a company in the UK which provides all kinds of garden furniture and garden equipment and so on. And he recognised a few years ago that a lot of the flagstones that they were buying from India for patios for people's gardens in the UK, in fact, was being quarried by child labour. So he took it upon himself, took the initiative to develop what's become Fairstone. It's a kind of fair trade certification system, which he hopes will become the equivalent of something like the Marine Stewardship Council or Forest Stewardship Council's logo in terms of certifying that the stones which companies are using have in fact not been produced by child labour. So a whole variety of men and women that we're discovering around the world as we're going about our researches. I think that more companies in the next few years will recognise the value of encouraging and harnessing the talent and the creativity and the perseverance and commitment of the social entrepreneurs inside their large organisations. I think it makes sense for business in terms of it helps them to attract and retain and make the most of talent. It's an extra resource in terms of how to innovate and get new business development. It's also about corporate reputation. In an era when we've lost trust in so many organisations, it's another way of a large organisation to help to re-establish trust with the rest of society. And I think also harnessing the passion of lots of individual men and women who understand the importance but also the potential of sustainability for companies as well as for society. This is an extra way for those companies to be able to get more sustainable products and services being provided by their companies.